little bit of heavy stuff, but we're gonna start with a nice segue of we're gonna be talking about Valve and games and whatnot. But everyone in the podcast, we're gonna go down from Jason all the way to Nick. So, Jason, introduce yourself. All right. So, if before we get into the podcast, let me explain this. So, the idea of Devil's Advocate, the podcast that I started, is to anyone who wants to come into the podcast at any time, they can come in here and they can actually give us a point of view, and I will play devil's advocate, as in I will challenge your view to see if your resolve is good enough for it. But in reality, it's literally just a thing of just saying, hey, so if you want to talk about your view, bring it in here. We'll all talk about it. We'll kind of have a nice logical and intellectual conversation about it, and then we'll see how we end with it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Valve. Ollie, if you want to start us off. So here's where you're wrong. Valve has had a lot of time to kind of comb over their games and fix certain things, some things that tend to be game breaking and whatnot. But it feels like in certain games, like CS:GO, or if we go back towards Half-Life Alyx when it first released. I mean, when it first released, they kind of really put themselves up on a pedestal, saying that this was the next gen version of VR and it was going to be a whole new experience. But there was just so many things that were breaking with it. Like people's fucking, like, it wasn't capturing their guardian system. If you do, people who don't play VR, a guardian system is basically when you first set up your boundaries. When you're setting up your VR, that's your guardian system. That little outline that whenever you step close, it says step back, or there's things coming up, or you lose traction. That's your guardian system. That keeps you from bumping into shit and killing yourself and hurting yourself. So when Half-Life Alyx first released, there was no way to turn it on so that you could see the guardian around you. So people were walking into walls and hurting themselves. And then I think about a week or so after, they released a update for Half-Life Alyx so that you could turn the guardian system on. And then there was certain things where certain levels didn't load right, some of the AI wasn't loading correctly, and at the end of it, it was just it's a Valve game. At the end of the day, stuff's gonna break. Yeah, I mean, then take a look at, yeah. Oh, sorry. But take a look at fucking what's it called? Take a look at like the old Half Life games when they, because you're saying you're talking about they were bringing out bangers since the early 2000s. Remember how like everyone used to get like massive anxiety from the Valve guy because we never see his face? I have a theory. And my theory is the Valve guy is a real guy with a valve in the back of his head that they just keep in the basement at Valve. And whenever they whenever they get a new game out, they record his reaction of him turning around his little pit. He's like, "Who goes there?" they gave they gave him some drugs so he never grows any hair. He's consciously and continuously bald and he can never grow a beard ever again. Let's hear it. Splash screen. Yep. Only hundreds? Nah, I would charge every time the back of my head is used. You guys gotta pay me $1,000 every time. Uh, Jesus Christ, weird ass Canadian. At fucking 9 p.m., almost 10. You gotta walk the dog. Should have done that earlier. Nah, I'm running on real time. You're running on fucking Canadian time. Get out of here. Yeah, that's why Americans make good movies, motherfucker. Oh, get fucked. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, eh? Okay, what's another thing we can talk about before we get into the dark stuff? I play guitar as well. I also play piano, and I can play harmonica and ukulele and kalimba. I have a harmonica. I have no idea where the fuck it went. I have no idea where my harmonica went, though. The reason I say this is because the other week I cleaned my entire room, and now I have no idea where the fuck anything is. Nah, like that fucking thing of like the guy says, "Hey, can you go grab my that I left underneath the fucking." If you don't touch your shit, we know where it is. It's how it goes. It's your home screen. Don't let me guess. It's Danny DeVito. All right, listen here, bub. I will, I will one up everybody. Are you saying don't one up me or don't one up Ollie? I remember for a while ago. It sucks. I was part of this YouTube channel a while back before I had mine. Where literally it was just a bunch of friends from school and we read creepypastas. Dude, I still kind of do love doing that. I love reading creepypastas. It's really fun to fucking read those, to be honest. But like, I started like feeling like should I start doing that again? But then like, who the fuck wants to hear my voice read that shit? I have the scary tone when I'm either A, sick, or B, I'm super fucking tired or wasted. I'd have to like read them. I'd have to read them like really early in the morning. But yeah, fucking the whole like gaming thing. I feel like in my eyes, I feel like the amount of games, like the genre that's big nowadays is kind of bullshit. I hate when I hate no, not that. I hate when certain like genres of games like battle royales or survival games or single players or first person shooters, third person shooters, racing games, team strategy. I don't like when games like that blow the fuck up. Like Fortnite, I thought Fortnite was shit. I still think it's shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. It still is. You could people still have that version of the game. You pay for that. Yeah, I just like, and anyone who's watching the stream right now, they can fucking talk as much shit as they want, but like I always thought, like, especially the amount of like the type of kids that play that game, that like they get so like, what was it? I'm not gonna name names, but if anyone that lives in my town watches these, which is highly doubtful, what was it? Fucking I got a friend of mine a job, and he fucked that job up hugely. I remember telling you about this trouble. Remember that the day he got fired, I told you about why he got fired. Yep, his sister took his dad's credit card and bought $400 worth of stuff on Fortnite. Emotes, characters, all aesthetic shit. That's all it was. And it was so fucking stupid, because then it went overdrafted his card, because he only had, I think, $150 left on his card before he had to pay it all, and that was enough to pay one other bill that he had to pay. So when time came to pay the bill, the bank covered him, but he lost a lot of credit score because of it, because they overdrafted his card a lot. Like everyone here knows the joke is like, oh, did you steal your mommy's credit card to buy that? Like that, like, even though it is a joke, there's a lot of times that fucking happens. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something, Molly. It's really easy for a kid to do that simply because, uh, hold on a sec.
Fucking dragon.
Because you fucking bought them.
Because I bought like fucking $600, $700 worth of fucking shit.
All right.
Holy
So
shit.
Yeah,
you know
I
what?
just did not
Hold
know
on,
what money
Trouble.
was. Now I fucking do, and I don't do that shit.
Trouble. I'm a little annoyed
Mhm.
right now. So,
Mhm.
my headset that I'm on right now has two different speaker systems that are going. There's the THX and then there's the regular one. I have it so the THX is set default for everything, right?
All right.
And I had that set up in the stream thing. So people who are watching the stream, I'm really sorry about that. They never heard anything y'all were saying.
Oh
Until
my
now.
god.
And I had this fixed before the stream started, but apparently Discord jumped things to go over to the other speaker system, which is supposed to be disabled.
Oh my god. Well, thank God
Oh,
I'm
so-
comedian.
Thank God I caught that 14 minutes in.
Yeah.
Well,
So a quick rundown
I'll
of
go pick up meat real quick.
the
I
people
taste
that
shit.
are watching. We've been talking about Valve and how some of their games. You've heard my side of the conversation, but their side of the conversation I don't remember that well. But right now we're talking about the amount of motherfuckers who just take credit cards from their family members, or because it's really easy, as Ollie was saying, it's really easy for a kid with a credit card set up on their Xbox or their PlayStation or their Steam account or Amazon or anything to just go click 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 click, and I spent $600 just like that. It's not hard to do that. It's very easy, and it's a little terrifying.
oh because if a parent steps out there and is like, yeah, I'm gonna set this up on the Xbox so I don't have to worry about it again, and my kid doesn't have to come to me 600 times asking to buy a thing. But like, it's important that you kind of have to watch your kids, especially when that shit happens. And fucking, if you're fucking 10 and you go up to your mom's purse and you find their credit card and you know how to actually put the shit into the Xbox yourself, peace be upon you. I guess you're learning skills, but like, you're still spending like $600 on something, and like you said, you have no concept of like money. Like, I'll tell you, the concept of money did not click for me till I was like 10, 11. Because like that's the time I started like making money. So like, I didn't understand that money was this thing that you had to keep and like make sure you kept.
Yeah, that's why I think parents should make what do they call them, credit card accounts for their kids and have a youth savings account like my mom does.
But
then you can start building up your credit over time, and while you're learning about credit, also earning credit with your own purchases.
But the thing is I've talked to my mom about that, and I'm like, yo, Mom, can you set up a card for me? And she's like, I can't. You're too young.
You're like, not. I have one.
I fucking don't, and some credit cards don't cover for that. I've actually checked, and we've looked at it.
There's only like 2 different credit card companies that let kids have a credit card, or the credit card's not under your name. Trouble, is it under your father's name or your name?
No, it's under my mom, but it's a youth savings account. That's what USAA calls it.
There. You're under the card as a user, not the holder. There's a difference there.
True.
That doesn't affect your credit score.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like, they could, while they're learning about credit over time, they could also have something that they could use, just not credit-wise.
Yeah, but what I thought y'all were saying was like, kids should build up a credit, which I really think that kids should be able to build up a credit, because I didn't have a credit card till I was 19.
Kids should learn how to build up credit.
We should not have fucking algebra. We should have economics from like right as we hit 6th grade.
Nah, that's gonna bore kids really easily.
I mean,
it's a lot. I'm gonna say this. It's because for people that are watching the stream, I'm gonna explain something really easy. It is really easy to build up your credit. I built my credit up from 0 to 700 within 5 months.
Oh yeah, it's super easy.
It's really easy to build up your credit, but at the same time, it's really easy to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you ask a insurance company to check what the insurance is going to be on a vehicle you want to get, let's say Trouble wants to get, I don't know, fucking an old like 1970s, like 1970s something,
Cruiser.
Whatever the fuck it is. Well, I'm going off of old cars. I'm going off like shit from the 70s, like Camaros.
Yeah, Vista Cruiser.
No, I'm talking about stuff that's going to make the insurance go high.
Oh, never mind.
Not the bullshit you're talking about. So the thing to take into consideration is this. Insurance companies, one, if you are a male under the age of 25, take this into note. If you are under the age of 25, your insurance is going to be high if you're under the age of 25 and male. Even though most accidents in the world for fender benders and generic, collisions happen because a woman is distracted by either doing her makeup or on the phone. That has been proven many times with statistics, percentages, graphs, and everything.
Statistics.
But the reason that men's are so high is because a man or a boy has a higher insurance rate because the risk of them crashing the car because they want to race, speed, or be distracted, or drinking. That's why men's insurance is so high. Is it sexist? Fuck yeah, it is. It is. The feminists want to jump on the fact that, like third wave feminism, not first wave. First wave feminism I can deal with. Because they're women that actually do. Huh?
And second to some extent.
First and second are alright.
Third wave, I'm going to say this. Anyone who's a third wave feminist in this chat, get the fuck out of here right now. I don't want you here. Third wave
You're just not gonna
feminism
like
is
it.
entirely retarded. But the fact that feminism isn't going to jump on the fact that boys under the age of 25 their insurance is higher simply for the fact that they are male. That is the only reason they give you. Oh, you're a boy under the age of 25. Your insurance, if you get a vehicle in your name, is going to be $1,000 a month.
Oh my god.
I
Can't wait.
live in New York, so insurance for me is even higher than it is for trouble. Simply for the fact that I am a male under the age of 25. I live in New York. I have 2 cars and a bike under my name.
Is
But
it alcohol? I'm just kidding.
and I also went and took a defensive driving course because at the age of 18, only 3 months out of high school, I'm going to say this, I was caught doing 75 and a 45. Now,
How many demerits?
no, remember, take this into consideration. 25 over the speed limit is instantly reckless driving. They can take away your license, impound your vehicle, and arrest you for it.
Especially if you're young.
No, by default. Doesn't matter age.
Well,
Age
no, I
doesn't
know,
matter.
but like, if you're doing that shit when you're young, you're fucking retarded, and you should not.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying by default. Doesn't matter if you've been driving for 5 years, 1 year, or
100
60
years.
years. Doesn't
Yep.
matter at that point. Over the speed limit by 25, you are, you're in New York State. New York State troopers, staties, they don't give a shit. They are the fucking hammer of the law enforcement. They are the band hammer. I hate hiccups so much. I've been fighting a hiccup that whole time.
For how much? I couldn't hear you, sorry.
I had 8 points on my license from 1 ticket.
Wow.
Because I didn't have any ticket on my on my record at all before. That was my very first speeding ticket and my only speeding ticket.
now, this is what
Luke
I
Rat,
wish
thank you
happened
for
to
the
this girl.
follow, my guy. Thanks, it's awesome. But yeah, like the thing that everyone has to remember is I'm gonna say this: anyone who is very young, hasn't had their first speeding ticket or moving violation yet, and nothing is on your license or nothing's on your record at all, plead not guilty. I made the very, very poor mistake of pleading guilty because I just wanted to get it out of my way. I didn't want to go to court. I didn't want to do all that because I had work. Now, note, I was speeding to go to a job that I was making $10.75 an hour as an electrician. I was doing electrical work for $10.75 an hour, and I was speeding to that job. Now, note how retarded that is.
Yeah.
But when you're 18 and it's your first full on the books jobs, I've had jobs way before that I was off the books, getting paid cash under the table. I've had many jobs of that. But my first job on the books that would help me get to where I am today, I was like, I can never be late. And that's a mindset everyone should have. You should never be late for your job. You should never, ever, ever be idle at your job. Because if your boss sees you idle, that gives them a reason to fire you. Because in New York, there used to be a right to work law, but ever since like the 90s, that law went away. Literally, your boss, your company can fire you for any reason. They really don't even have to give a reason anymore, but they give you a reason out of, like
spite.
Not out of spite, but out of
completely under the choice of your boss. Your boss can fucking fire you for the dumbest shit.
Yeah, but they can't fire you for like the thing I know they cannot fire you for. They cannot fire you for working too slow. They cannot do that. Doesn't matter if you work in an office. Doesn't matter if you're working, you are working. If you're getting your job done, you're getting your job done. You can't get fired for that. You can only get fired if you're not working, if you're on your phone, or if you're doing something against company policy. If you're doing your job is getting done. Doesn't matter how fast or slow you're doing it, it's getting done. They cannot fire you for that reason. You can bring them to court for that, and you can actually get a lot of money for that. So if you live in New York, take that into consideration.
$1,000.
Huh?
A couple $1,000 probably.
Yeah. But yeah, I made the very poor mistake of pleading guilty to my first ever speeding ticket. And I'm gonna let you know something. If you ever get pulled over by a state trooper in New York and it's a young male, not a woman, because the women don't care. There really isn't a lot of state troopers that are girls because I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief. The training to become a state trooper, goes way beyond the physical fitness of a woman. There are women out there that can do it. Do not get me wrong, but they don't want to do it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I guess, yeah.
The type of guys that go to be state troopers are usually young cops that were transferred from other departments to go be sent to the fucking training for it, and then
Because
they
they were
become
good
state
enough.
troopers. Because they were good enough to do it, yes. But yeah,
like
the
it's
cop
the
that
elite
I
program.
had was clearly a dude under the age of 25, Asian motherfucker who was wearing the hat, the aviators, and had a toothpick in his mouth.
That's funny.
Listen, man, he fucking worked for that job. Let him have his fun.
That's funny.
He worked for that job.
Yeah.
He worked for that job, but he even told me, he's like, dude, I see you got nothing. Like, if I'm a cop, even if I'm a state trooper, and if I see the one and only occurrence, I see you got nothing on your license, nothing on the vehicle, no warrants, no nothing. There's no points or tickets on you. It's your first ever offense. I'll let you off with a warning. Don't let me see you doing this shit again. If it's your first ever offense. No, that was my first ever offense while driving. There was nothing on my record before then. That stays on your record, technically in the system, for the next 2.5 years. So it's gone now. You know, by the end of 2020, that thing's long gone. But I went and took the defensive driving course, and with that, once you take it, you can actually get up to, I think it's 4 to 6 points off your license, along with
Jeez.
$1,000 deductible on your insurance.
Okay,
I went
that's
and took
pretty
that.
good.
I did for the insurance deductible, and I did for the points. So I still have 2 points on my license.
Well, it's better than fucking 8.
And those stay on your license for a long time.
Oh, and you told the story about the bright car incident.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
My Mustang?
The one that was bright colors.
Yeah, the yellow Mustang, the loud fuck.
Yeah.
So I got pulled over leaving work one day in my 1998 Mustang GT 4.6 liter. This car is straight piped, but it passes emissions. Which usually, whenever you hear someone has a straight piped vehicle, it A, sounds like shit, and B, does not pass emissions because the check engine light is on because there's no O2 sensor. Mine sounds cool as fuck. I've sent Trouble video of it. It sounds insane when it's cold starting.
So nice.
And it passes emissions because there's no check engine light. But note, I do have an O2 sensor, but the ECU in my car has been changed so that it doesn't throw up any lights, so it passes emissions. Because note, whenever you're going to get your car inspected, as long as there's not a check engine light and stuff looks okay, it passes.
I hate that they should remove the check engine light. One of the cars I was gonna get has a check engine light on, and it would not we couldn't get it to go away.
Did you guys?
The dealership, nothing happens.
Did you guys?
No, even the fucking mechanic shit.
No. Did you guys check it? Did you guys check the code? Because it could
Yes.
just be constantly.
It was a Ford. So yeah, it was the code. They sent it back to us. It stopped doing it, and then it started doing it again, and we just couldn't get rid of it. So they said, let's fucking sell it.
I'll tell you exactly what it was, motherfucker. It was a sensor. If it went away and then went back and then came back, that means they forcibly cleared the code, drove it around for like 5 miles, and then gave it back to you, and the sensor blew again. That's what that happens.
I would 20 miles, but I don't care.
Yeah, that's what I would have. That's what I would have done. Make a quick buck. Fuck yeah, that's what all mechanics do. Every single mechanic in the world is looking for a quick buck. I don't care if there's a mechanic watching me right now or not. But anyone.
Like 2 of our friends that were mechanics, and they are good mechanics.
Yeah, no.
Even Scotty Kilmer.
Scotty Kilmer, yeah, I love that motherfucker, dude. Dude, he's like me. He hates the new Supra. The new Supra's a piece of shit.
It's a BMW.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Oh my god, my mom got a fucking new Lincoln, the Lincoln Navigator. What a fucking good engine. Holy shit.
Oh, the fucking big ass car?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Look at the engine for that thing. It is so nice.
Sitting in that car for a couple hours and just, like, you can fall asleep. It's a good car.
It's like it's one of those cars that turns off when it's done, when it stops for like a minute.
I hate those, dude.
I do too, but dude, it is so nice. It is a great family car.
I'm just not a fan of Lincoln because of price-wise compared to what the parts cost to repair.
This thing is worth it. I'm not kidding.
Not for the parts,
Its
in my
engine,
opinion. The
its
Lincoln
engine
Navigator,
is
right?
amazing.
The Lincoln
Yeah,
Navigator?
Lincoln Navigator.
What year?
Shit, I have to go check real quick. I don't know. Hold on, let me check real quick.
LED lights or incandescent?
For outer?
I think it's
probably LED.
LEDs.
Yeah, it's LED.
LEDs? It's
I think
past
it might be in
2010.
2019.
2019? Yeah, fucking.
Yeah.
I
It is so
hate
nice.
it. When I worked at Ford for about 4 or 5 months, and then I had to leave. I left. I quit because a kid took a car that I wanted to buy off the lot, right, and he crashed it. It was a 2008 GT 500 Shelby Mustang.
Oh.
Supercharged, 5-speed, posi rear, white with the blue stripes, and loud as fuck. I was going to buy it off the dealership I worked at. I went to lunch. I came back. The kid was missing. The kid was a year older than me, but he acted like he was 16.
Oh God.
This was a couple months after the trooper pulling me over for the 10.75 an hour job. I went from 10.75 to about $18. You know, $17 and a quarter ain't that bad, you know.
That's a good jump.
So I worked there, and then I came back from lunch and was like, okay, the car's gone. Maybe someone went to go test ride or something. It's like, I asked my boss, is someone buying the GT500? It's like, no, why? It's like, it's not out front. What? The GT500 isn't out front. What do you mean? It's like, I don't fucking know. And he looked up on the wall, and one of the dealer plates are missing. And then we got a call from the kid, who I'm not going to say his name for legal purposes and privacy, but I will tell you he sounded like a bitch on the phone. I'll give you a perfect recreation of that scene. The phone rings. My boss answers, he's like, hello? It's like, and he puts him on speaker, and he's like, Johnny, I'm so sorry, man. What happened? The GT500, I crashed it. Why'd you have it on the road? I wanted to drive it. Why? I wanted to drive it. And then he starts crying. So my boss looks at me. He's like, can you go grab your truck and help me go pick him up? I was like, okay, I'll go grab the truck. I'll warm it up. I'll bring it up here. Ask him where the fuck he is. All right, I went and grabbed my pickup truck. I came back to the dealership. Got in the dealership. He was 2 blocks from the dealership. Now, I'm going to say this. The motherfucker stated all the time, I know how to drive manual, And he could move from point A to point B, which is what I think everyone in the world, especially in America, should learn how to do. To move a manual from point A to point B. You don't have to be good at it. If you can move it, you can move it. There's a difference.
Alright, and I do want to add to that. Because, fantastical situation. But if you get kidnapped, and then your only way out, from getting hurt, is a fucking car, and you can't drive the fucking car, there's a big issue there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, went and picked up... So, I'm going to say this. After stating that he knows how to drive manual, supposedly. It had been raining all morning that day. And we had a dry spell for a couple months. So, people who don't know this... Whenever it rains on asphalt, all the oils and liquids that drip from cars or from accidents or from acid rain, whenever there's a dry spell, it subsides into the asphalt. Whenever it rains, and we all know this, oil floats on water, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all the oils and liquids and fluids, the coolant, the fucking window wash fluid, the oil, the fucking transmission fluid, all that floats right up to the top of the surface, making it slick.
Hydroplaning.
So I'm gonna say this: he basically became the basic definition of the Mustang cars and coffee meme. Because he was going around this curve. Because I'm gonna say curve because it's not a turn, it's not a corner, it's a curve. A corner would be 90 degrees in my opinion. A curve is something that you can take at 50 and be fine. This was a curve. And from the impact, because I actually got to see the CCTV because he crashed right next to a gas station. So this is what he did. It looked like he chirped it from third to second. Now, whenever you chirp a Mustang from third to second, the back end likes to kick up off the ground and go right back down. In the older models, like my Mustang does that sometimes, but I can actually control the fucking car, whereas he couldn't. And you see the car jumps up. It skirts to the right, then to the left, then to the right, then to the left, and to the right, and then it goes to the left, and he hits somebody's staircase, obliterating the front 2 steps, ripping out the fucking handlebar that's just cinder blocked in place, going airborne, spins around once, lands on his wheels, and then slides into the fucking guardrail. Every single panel on that car was destroyed. The only thing that was good was the engine. The transmission was fucked. The drive shaft was fucked. All the axles were fucked. All 4 tires were blown. The fucking... I'll tell you this. The airbag and the car crushing in on itself kept him from fucking becoming a pancake against the fucking the staircase.
Oh, he would have died. No,
he would have died instantly because the cop I was talking to, I was asking him how fast do you think he was going. We were watching a repeat. He said he must have been going like at least 65, and he chirped it from third to second. Now, if you don't know what a money shift is, that's the definition of a money shift. I can tell you that's the reason that the tranny died, because he chirped it from third to second doing 65.
Oh, he for sure blew it.
Because anyone here who drives manual, the one unspoken rule amongst anybody who drives manual is you never downshift into first, ever. Because if you downshift into first at any speed and actually manage to put it into gear without it grinding, doesn't matter if you're wearing a seatbelt or not, you were getting sent through that windshield instantly. Anyone, if they have the time, go on YouTube right now, search up a money shift compilation. You will just see the car pick up speed, and then the front end will go down, the back end will go up into the air, its ass end will go up into the air, and the car will stop in place because the gear is so small it can't handle the speed. First gear is only for starting and for going up hills from a stop. Second gear, if you're like me, you can go from first gear to second gear while going uphill. Not a lot of people can do that, because not a lot of people have the ability to control the clutch like that, because you have to go from first, kind of rev it a little high, immediately go on the clutch, stick it in second, let go of the clutch, and go right back onto the gas. Because if you don't, you're stalling in the middle of that hill, and you are going to be in such a pain, because hill starting, if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, is a pain in the ass. Especially if you're driving the Mustang, which is a mechanical clutch, instead of Japanese cars, which are hydraulic clutches, which are really soft and spongy and nice. Man, I just spent the last fucking 28 minutes talking about cars.
Yeah. No, that's that fucking A, man.
I could go for another hour.
Yeah.
It's nice hearing about it, just because those are the kinds of experiences I haven't had yet.
And you don't want to have them. I remember the first time I was in a car crash.
I actually wait. Can I talk about something?
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. So my friend has I'm not gonna name names because this is probably one of the worst experiences I've had in the past year and a half. So I've been in cars with people who can very well control their cars, also have good weight distribution. They know what they're doing. The model of the car is nice. I had a friend who drove in his BMW, probably one of the best cars I've ever sat in that's gone above 120.
I make that look like chump fucking time,
Yeah.
No, but you see, you can't go above because it's right next to the river, and there's so many fucking bumps. Yeah,
I'm suicidal, bro. I don't think you know about me. No, yeah, keep going.
But I've been in 3 cars that have gone above 100. I've been on my friend's bike before, which was really nice. So I've experienced speed pretty well, especially for someone my age. But I get into my friend's car and we're going out and we're going the state over and we're just looking for a place to go go-karting. And then later in the night we gave up and we were coming back. So he normally drives a manual drive Miata. It was out for repairs.
That's Jason's dream car right there, brother.
Dream project car.
It's a gay man's car, but it's an okay car. I'll call it that.
The
Just
old
don't
Miatas
expect
are
it for
nice. The new
speed.
Miata's a piece of shit.
Don't expect it for speed. But his Miata was out, and he was at the moment driving. I can't even fucking remember. It was some kind of Ford. It was one of the newer, like sporty kind of models.
Ford Taurus, Ford Focus, Ford
Probably
Fiesta.
probably a Fiesta or a Focus. And it was a white car.
Hatchback.
And it was obvious.
Smallish.
Yeah.
Fiesta.
Okay, Fiesta.
Probably the
So-
ST because that came manual.
He's driving that, and it was very, very obviously a rental car. Like it had a no smoking sign on the inside. It smelled like fucking air freshener, like all the time. And we're driving across the big bridge and going over to the next state. And I see him and his girlfriend start pulling out weed, and they're smoking it in the fucking rental. And I'm just watching them on my phone, like, what the fuck are they doing? And then fast forward a bit, and it's later in the night, and he's fucking out of it, like, fucking baked. Probably had some drinks too. Hello.
Who cares?
And we're driving back. It's dark. It's late. I'm tired. And he's driving this car down one of the larger roads at like 75. And he's fucking baked out of his mind. And we're coming toward a sharp turn. And I don't know if he likes to do this as a joke. I don't know if it's actually like purposeful. But he was driving straight toward a fucking 90-degree right turn. Like all the signs were up. And they were flashing as his headlights hit them. And he looked up and he's like, oh shit. And we're like about to go over the curb before he rams the wheel to the right in a rental car. And he swerves the car and barely makes it and continues driving. And I was just shaking in the back watching this happen. My friend next to me trying to calm me down, and I was ready to get out of the car and walk the fucking 3-mile walk home, because that shit was not fun, and he's done that multiple times.
I would say this: if he ever asks you, hey, you want to jump in the car, be like, if you're driving, nah, I don't want to be in the car when you're driving, because. And that's not you being a dickhead. That's not you being an ass. That's you trying to catch him on something. Like, hey, every time I've been in the car with you, or most of the times I've been in the car with you, you don't know what the fuck you're doing half the time. So
it's genuinely, and it's just like there are those specific drivers, and what I'm trying to get at is every single person who drives a car has a different amount of experience behind the wheel. And it always feels just a little bit different because everyone handles the way their car works in a very different way. It's very cool. It's very cool to see how this dickhead drives his Miata in like probably one of the strangest ways. But then you look over at my other friend who drives his, like it's a manual shift Miata. It's the same model. And I sit in his car and he drives it. And it's so different to feel how much nicer the other one is compared to his fucking reckless driving. Because it's two different mindsets on the road.
His mindset is, I gotta fucking show off in my car. But yeah, that's something that everyone should think about. Whenever you, even when you brought up the whole weed thing, I wanted to say this. Like, yeah, anyone who is watching this, I'm gonna say this. Even cause New York, one of the main big states, they've been wanting to have weed be legalized on the federal level for the longest time. I used to smoke weed. I used to do a lot of drugs back in the day. I used to do a lot of different shit. I stopped because I have work. I had school. I had stuff to do. I had people I had to go and meet. I had stuff I had to get done. And if I did weed, or if I kept doing weed and fucking shrooms and acid and LSD and all this stuff that I was doing, I wouldn't be where I am. Out of everyone that I've ever met in my school specifically, people outside of my school were nice, but people that went to my school specifically, I'm the only person that's graduated in my school that was in my grade that I have 2 cars. I pay for the mortgage on my house. I pay for the insurance on my motorcycle. I have what is now considered a what, like a $5,000 setup for my computer. But it's only because I gave up the weed, I gave up the drugs. I buy alcohol every once in a while, yeah. You know, I have alcohol in my house. I drink at my house. I don't smoke and drive. I don't drink and drive. I don't do drugs and drive, because the worst thing you can do. The worst thing you can do is do any kind of drug or alcohol and get behind the wheel. Worst thing you can do. Fucking recently, and I hate to bring it up, but recently I had a fucking coworker of mine who, I'm not gonna say his name because I'm pretty sure his family doesn't want me putting his name out there, but he just got back from Australia, serving time over there for trying to smuggle cocaine to Australia. He served time over there. He came back in 2018, and he was working at the place that I'm working at before, you know, and then I came up and I started talking and I worked with him. And then he got fired because of some stupid bullshit, because he put the wrong gas into the suicide saw, or the demo saw, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But my boss and them hated him for, like, his guts, because he was the kind of kid that was born with the silver spoon up his ass and immediately ruined it. You know what I mean? Rich kid problems,
Yeah.
that shit. But I remember we got the call, like, my boss got the call one day while I was making some shit for the wood shop, and he came up to me, he's like, I just got news that such and such died in a car accident. It's like, and it killed the mood of the shop, because everyone, you know, most of the guys in the shop were just like, oh, he's a fucking idiot, he's this, but, like, everyone kind of had, like, a mutual respect for him, because he was a very smart kid, you know. He started 6 different businesses before he was fucking 18. Doesn't matter if he ruined his life fucking, you know, doing drugs and selling drugs, but he started 6 different legal and legitimate businesses before he was 18. Like, that takes a lot of spunk, and it takes a lot of you know, confidence to do that. But yeah, fucking I was the only one in my shop to do the research on it. I found out he was on the highway passing JFK. People who don't know the New York area, in Queens there's an airport called JFK. That is a very overly used airport. A lot of people use that terminal constantly, and there's a highway that runs kind of parallel to it. So he was on the highway going upstate, coming back up my way from the city. And some girl who was 17 years old, just got her license, was crossfaded. People who don't know what crossfaded is, that is when you smoke and drink alcohol, so you're high and drunk, and it crosses at the same time. Crossfaded. She was driving while under the influence of weed and alcohol, and she basically T-boned him at 70 miles an hour, merging onto there, and pretty much killed him instantly the second his car smacked the wall.
So he was sober?
He was sober. He was sober for the last fucking 6 years. Like, after he was, yeah, he got his life around. He started getting a job. He worked up, got all his money together, bought a new car, bought a new bike, and was with his girl, his new fiance. And fucking,
People that do that need to be shot and killed and hanged.
Like, I understand, like, the idea, like, oh, look at me, I'm gonna go fucking drink a whole case of beer and fucking do this shit with my friends and drive my car at 75 miles per hour. Like, look at this shit, this is so cool. Like, it looks cool, and you see everyone else doing it, and then they seem fine. But, like, no matter how much you think, like, this will make me look cool, this will make me look amazing, I will be okay if I do this. I can do this. Do not risk and roll the dice, because if all your friends have done it and they've been fine, do not be that one case that fucking crashes and kills themselves or kills someone else. You do not want to be that. It's like waving a gun around while you're drunk and high.
while it's loaded,
Like,
yeah.
It's a fucking... a car, as nice as it looks and as fun as it seems, is a fucking weapon. You're driving a giant cinder block of metal and gas and explosiveness.
2-ton bullet.
2-ton bullet at maybe 75 to 100 miles per hour. And you are putting yourself inside of it and having other people around you. You do not want to do that while under the influence. You'll kill yourself, you'll kill someone else. Like, on the road that I live next to, like the river I was talking about.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, there was this kid who was in a
Ridiculous,
car
right?
full of his friends.
Actually, I think I might know the story a little better because I actually know the person who was best friends with that dude.
Yeah, I know him too. He's in one of the servers I'm in. But like, so he and his 3 friends were in the car, and they were driving up the road. And there's a couple curves on this road. It's a pretty curvy road. It's going uphill, downhill. They were going uphill, and it's a steady incline, and it's a steady continuous curve. And he was under the influence of, I think it was either ecstasy or he was drunk. I can't remember which. Do you remember?
This is a different one.
Okay.
Is not the right guy. There's crashes like this though.
Yeah, I think they were under ecstasy, and mind you, like if drinking and driving, like you'll see people come out of that okay. If you fucking do ecstasy and drive, you're signing your death wish.
You're
That's like
so out of it when you do that.
you can't do that. And they're driving up the road, and he's trying to continue the curve, like, because it's a continuous long curve for about like 200, 300 feet. And then all of a sudden, he loses control of his car, going 75 miles per hour, and then right off the edge of the road, and his car hits a tree, instantly killed. He like flies out the front of his car, instant impact, instant death. The 3 other people in the car are alive. One got tossed out the front. But like, it was such a terrible fucking moment, because that person that you know is now gone in an instant, all because of some silly mistake to look cool. Like, it takes 2 minutes behind the wheel to kill you. It takes a minute behind the wheel to kill you if you're under the influence. Because your perception of the world is fucked. Driving, even not under the influence, is dangerous. Like you put it, man. Like,
you could just
don't
be chilling,
know
and
what.
then some fucking asshole that wants to drink or drive or smoke weed and drive fucking hits you and kills you or hurts you or makes you
Your
disabled.
friend.
It's not hard. Like the thing that that I hate telling people is I don't believe the saying you only live once. I believe in the saying that you only die once. You can live multiple times in your life. Cuz you can always find, like, if you ever lose like your reason or will to live, it is very easy if you're actually looking for one to find another will to live. It's not hard. But you only die once. Once you're dead, that's it. You're done. There's no going back. There's no restart. There's no game over. There's no respawn. There's no load at the last checkpoint. That is it. You die once, and that's it. That's what I honestly believe in. I've had people tell me, "Oh, you're fucking dumb. You're stupid. It doesn't work like that. You only live once, YOLO, bitch." It's like, no. Like, I am all for that. You want to take a risk. You want the adrenaline rush. I am all for that. I don't believe that because if you take the calculated risk and hey, there's a high possibility I'm gonna die, don't do it. Like, there's no reason to do it. There's no reason to ever have that done. Like, the amount of people that abuse the fact that I can do this because I can. It's bullshit. It should never be like that ever.
And the story that I'm gonna bring up is pretty much exactly like that. The other one that Molly told, but instead the kid that I was with, who's actually my god cousin, who is I think 26 now, or no, he's way younger than he's probably like maybe 25. We were going shooting with our parents that day, and his friends who get high a lot, and he did the same thing. They were driving. Probably I don't know. I don't remember if it was drunk. I know it was high. Driving the same way for the same exact way. Hit a tree. All 3 of them died. 2 of them died. One is very much injured and going through a lot of traumatic shit. And if my friend, my god cousin, was with them, he probably would have died or got really hurt. So that's another thing, and it's just sad because the parents don't even really know what they were on.
Christ, it's like, life is a roll of the dice. You're going to experience a lot of things at a lot of different times. And sometimes those things will be the last things you experience. And it's fucking terrifying to think that I need to go from my house to my work back home, and there's a chance that that might not be completed because I die somewhere along the way. Because
someone wants to be stupid or something happens.
Because someone wants to be stupid. Like, it's all a chance, and it's fucking terrible. So just don't fucking do that. Don't smoke and drive. Don't drink and drive. Like, and sometimes what's even worse is it's related to these people who do smoke and drive, who do drink and drive, who do drugs and drive, have issues going on in their head and they don't know how to deal with it. And so sometimes they're suicidal. And they have their own issues that they're trying to work out. And in this spit and spin of trying to figure it out on the road while under the influence, they can hurt other people and they can hurt themselves, which is a fucking scary and terrifying thought. And I think that's a perfect segue into suicide awareness and like the emotions that go on in a person's head before that moment.
I'm also just posting a bunch of this the stream into other discords so they get the suicide awareness thing going around.
What are you
Fair
doing?
enough.
Fucking doing the like what did you send the fucking link out?
Yeah, I'm sending the link. The link,
okay.
yeah.
But yeah, the one thing that I don't like what's happened lately. Yeah, shit's getting really deep, fucking Sean. You know that's what's going on. But yeah, like the thing that I didn't like when I was in high school was, and you know it should never happen, was remember when 13 Reasons Why first came out?
Oh, fuck that show,
hated
dude.
that show.
Literally fuck that show.
So I'm going to say this, and I know someone out there is going to disagree with me, but you have to remember, at the end of the day, this is my opinion. I feel that they took the subject of suicide way too lightly in that show. I've watched the first season.
There's a whole bunch of shit. Okay, let's just, for the sake of it,
let's, for the sake of it, just say that it was,
Stick with the first season.
garbage and stupid. Let's say that.
It was garbage and stupid, and if anything, we should only talk about the first season, because after that, it tries to pull a Riverdale thing. It's fucking stupid.
What was really stupid, when the first season ended and they were starting the second season, they had to...
They had to figure out, like, how do we continue this plot? Especially after the characters commit suicide.
The thing that was stupid was, at my school, Sean, who's in the Twitch chat, and even Jason here can vouch for that. The first season, when that finished and the second season started, our school sent out to everybody's houses a letter talking about suicide awareness because of 13 Reasons Why. I have that letter somewhere in like a file cabinet upstairs.
Oh my god.
But
remember that.
literally, they did, Sean. They sent it to like everyone's parents. They sent it to my house. But like, literally, I read the fucking thing. It was like, oh, the 13 Reasons Why. Basically, the rundown was, do not take the show seriously. It is fake. Like, the fact that they had to tell a bunch of kids, oh, it's fake, don't worry about it, was so bullshit, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, that you had to specifically state to someone, it's a TV show, it's not real. Don't, and like they put the school psychiatrist and guidance counselors' phone numbers in there, and then they put the phone number for the suicide awareness hotline.
I think
what that one is.
It's literally a Logic song, but no, I can tell you why they did that. They didn't do that because they care about the students. Because in my opinion, our school that I went to, the faculty did not care about students that much. There was maybe 1, 2, or maybe like 4 different teachers that cared.
A handful.
Very, very small group. The rest of them didn't give a shit. It was so retarded. Our fucking principal looks like a walking milk dud.
Can confirm our does too.
Professor Milk Dud. That's what we called him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude, and also the way he carries himself and the way he talks and walks
He sounds
reminds
like a
me.
milk dud.
No, dude, he legitimately looks like the gayest fucking black man ever. He has
You know,
two
it-
daughters. He has two daughters. They're both sluts, by the way.
Oh damn.
And the way I've never met the guy's wife ever. She's never stepped foot in the school when I was there, when I was a senior. But what was so fucking stupid was I remember when I had to go to a parent teacher conference. Like we all like it was a huge thing in the fucking auditorium. All I could imagine thinking to myself was, this guy's a fucking fag. He is a huge fucking fag. Not even like, I've met a lot of gay people that are very nice and very easy to talk with. He reminds me of one of the gay people that are just so annoying to talk to that they have to remind someone every 5 minutes that they're gay.
That they're gay. God damn it.
They make it their entire
That's
life. Yeah.
like, I want you to imagine the way they talk and the way, like, you know how it like speeds up as they get to the fucking the point of their
I'm gay.
conversation.
Yeah.
That's how he talks.
Yep. Yeah, but with more of like kind of like urban type accent, but like mixed with a proper accent. It's weird, and also like maybe like a bit of something else in there because he was from Britain and then he moved over to America.
Yeah,
Of course
he was
he
a
was.
fucking British fag. He was a tea drinking, crumpet eating fag. But not like it was so dumb because I saw the way he looked at some of the boys in school.
I see.
I could tell this man did not have a type. It was just if it had a dick, it was game. Because I remember when I turned 18 my senior year of high school.
Oh no.
I remember when I turned 18 and one of my boys turned 18 the day before me. I remember we were walking around and the principal pulled us aside and was talking to us like, so hey, how's everything going? It's like, you never talked to me like this before. What's going on here?
You just turned 18, right?
Dude, Sean's telling me, okay, stop. Sean, do you not want me to ruin our principal for you, brother?
Oh, wait. How did he know? So, okay, does he have like something like like from like I don't know the school database for like whenever a student turns 18, he gets notified? Like how did he know?
He gets to no, because in our thing, in our school system, it has our birthday thing like on the teachers' calendars. Like it tells you when the student's birthday is, so he would be able to see your birthday.
So
like he would know when you turn 18.
It was also in your fucking form for school.
Yeah.
But no,
Like,
I remember every
you gotta
once in
put
a
your
while.
birthday.
I remember every once in a while, our school would be on the announcements every morning. Like if it was someone's birthday, they would say happy birthday.
Oh, that was elementary school. Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
That was full elementary school, like the TV.
School like the school TV announcements.
Yeah,
God, I
Sean,
remember
you were a
those.
special case. Listen to this. So Sean, one of the guys in the chat, said, "Bro, he always talked to me because my mom put me up on a high pedestal to the staff, which is not wrong. Your mom really did put you up on a high pedestal, bro.
Christ.
Even before you were a senior. When I was a fucking senior, I've seen the way she talks to them. I mean, your mom's cool, by the way, Sean. She's a very nice woman. She's really easy to talk to. When I was in school, she was very nice."
That's like what my god cousin did to the fucking all of his friends and shit when I was like little, and then but now they're all fucking gone and going to college or whatever, or smoking weed or something.
Dude,
But
like,
what about that what about that suicide pamphlet? Like
Oh my.
oh,
what was
did you
on
guys
it?
get those too?
Oh yeah. Tons.
'Cause
I'm gonna say
like,
this.
I-
I feel the fact
the
that
suicide pamphlets.
Oh,
What was
sorry,
it? There was it's all right, man. There was what was his name? There was this kid in middle school who did it. No, don't say his name. Don't say his name.
No, the guy who killed himself.
Yeah. And then-
was it by the van or was that another kid?
No, it's the other kid. It was the boy. It was the boy in.
Boys.
Well, no, it was the boy
He got hit
in
by
like.
a van, but he jumped into the van
Mm.
from multiple witness accounts, apparently.
wait, he
No, the
jumped
other did
into
it.
the
The other
van?
did it in his own home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So,
Yeah.
God,
No, he
this
jumped.
is
Yeah,
this
he
is
jumped in front of a van from multiple witness accounts.
this is a
They're-
very difficult thing to explain because like the stigma behind suicide is probably one of the strangest things to talk about. And I've like there's a ton of fucking memes about it, whatever, yeah, but there will always be a difference of suicide when it comes to the person being alive and after they do it to themselves. The image of that person will change, obviously because they've passed on, but because beforehand it feels like they're attention seeking. It feels like they're trying to grab for attention and pull people to look at them and be like, please pay attention to me. I might do this thing to myself, you should look at me. And then when they actually do it, you find out that they were serious and that there was something wrong. And the issue is that half the time people who are like that will never actively look for help. They will silently drown in their own emotions and sooner or later just do it. It will only be obvious to those close to them, and shit'll happen like that.
Ollie, I'm gonna say this. They've done many studies and shit about, on like the different behaviors that happen within a person's subconscious when they are suicidal or they're depressed.
Mm-hmm.
So, as everyone knows, the story of whenever a kid kills himself and you see in the news, oh, he was always a really bright kid, he was always happy, he was always this, he was always that. He could the thing is, a suicidal person and a depressed person, just because someone's depressed, I remember when I was in high school, my freshman year, I was diagnosed with depression. But I was never sad per se. It was
depression. This is a huge thing. Depression does not equal sadness.
Depression is not.
Depression is not. It's a really hard feeling to explain because that's why it's called depression and not sadness. Depression is what I'd like to call a lack thereof of feeling. It's like you're sitting in a cloud of. It's like you're sitting on a cloud and you're not feeling anything, or like you're sitting in a dark room and it's kind of warm, but it's also kind of cold. You don't feel happy. You don't feel sad. You just feel like you're existing and just drifting by. It's like a useless kind of feeling. You don't know what's going to happen, or you do know what's going to happen, but you don't really care because it's just whatever.
Yeah.
Life is just happening by, and it's not a good feeling, but it's not a bad feeling either, which is why some people don't look for help when they're depressed. Because depression is one of those weird things where it's like, it can feel good. It's really weird to explain because I've experienced this. Because when you're depressed, you have this nice. By the way, I'm not diagnosed. My fucking family won't let me go to a therapist and get properly diagnosed. But I have a very big feeling that I have it, and when I feel like I'm in that headspace, I just kind of sit there, and I do want to do something about it, but at the same time, it's this simple feeling that I would rather feel this way than feel sad, Like I would rather sit here and sit in my own sadness or sit in my own darkness, really, and just experience this, because this is better than just about anything else I could feel right now, Like, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a comforting cold. God, it's really hard to explain.
No, it's so a very simple way to explain depression and depression. And I want everyone to know this. I'm not saying this to dumb it down. I'm dumbing it down so that people can understand it. It's not to make it. Oh, come on, Sean. Come on, Sean. You got this. But I'm not dumbing it down to be like, oh, it's really easy to explain, because depression is really not an easy thing to explain, nor is suicidal tendencies,
not at all.
or being suicidal in general. Now, depression, it's a mixture between, it's like a gray zone between sadness and a loss of interest. That is probably the best way to explain that emotion for most people. Other people deal with depression in different ways. Other people deal with depression as, everyone here knows about the most generic fucking way to deal with it, cutting. Everyone knows about that. Everyone knows cutting the wrist. And
people don't do it. Okay, there's a difference between people who do it for attention
people who do it for that
feeling.
need it for a coping mechanism. That's what it really is.
People do it for different reasons too, because there's the feeling of self-control. It's you're able to do it because you're doing it and it feels good because you have control over what happens.
Yeah, coping
Other
mechanism.
people do it just to feel something, because like I said, it's this depression is this cloud where it's not sadness, it's like this lack of feeling. So people do it to feel something, like something is happening to them, and it actually feels okay to feel something.
They do with it, as I was saying, they do with it to cope with the fact that they don't. People that are in depression, like when I was in depression, I felt broken. I didn't feel normal. I didn't feel like I was where I should have been, or I felt out of place, or an indifference. That's how a lot of people, not everyone that has depression, but that's how a lot of people like to explain themselves. I never did cut. I was never a cutter. I have on accident, and I had once or twice, but I was never big on it because it's like, wow, this is a really stupid thing. I can't be doing this. Because also I was, I was a very physical person. When I was in high school, I went to boxing because my freshman year of high school was a little overweight. I went to boxing, got myself slimmed down, and I got myself to do that, and that was my coping mechanism to deal with stuff. But like the thing is that whenever you find yourself and you find yourself cutting, you have to not kind of like force yourself, but at the same time kind of like give yourself a push as in a third person where like cuz to get out of my depression it was literally like I had another version of myself kind of push me in the back to push me out of that fucking thing. Not everyone can do that. It's actually really hard to mentally get yourself prepared to I need to get out of this rut. It's not good. This is not a good thing to be happening because a lot of people get the sense of control as you said, or they get the sense of this feels right to stay like this. If I fix this, something else will break. If I leave this broken, this will be the only thing broken. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to say mentally that's not good because it's going to hurt someone's feelings or it's going to make someone fucking rage at me. I'm going to say this. It is not the best way to keep it. That's the best wording I can give without complicating things and without making it awkward. Because depression is a very weird spectrum and it's a very weird scale to understand because depression hits everyone differently. Because at the end of the
depression is on a scale, kind of.
Yeah, as it was
if that makes sense.
Because at the end of the day, depression is literally something that the human body or the human mind cannot wrap around. It's something that's so weird. It's foreign to the human brain, really. Because before society and before civilization was a thing, the only true emotions that really were in the earlier versions of humans, the Homo sapiens, the very first of our kind, really, after, developing from monkeys, if you believe in evolution, was hunger, survival, and procreation. Those were like the main three emotions, if you want to call them that, or the main three objectives that the very prehistoric human brains were. If you were hungry, you killed. If you had a survival instinct, you were able to survive, and you procreate to keep the strong genes going. And then after a while, that humans began to talk words and have emotions, and society was built. Civilization became a thing. Cars, tools, guns, everything, fucking. And here we are today in a world where most people are still fucking stuck inside because of a fucking little virus. Because no one wants to listen. Sean, I was always philosophical, brother. Ever since fucking middle school, I was always philosophical. But
oh my god, dude. It's like just the way it goes, I'd like to say, is as more shit becomes easier, more time is gained to do things. But the issue is some people know how to use that time,
and some people
whereas
don't.
Other people don't. And with that growth of the I have hours a day to do literally whatever I want. I don't know what I'm going to do. Because some of the things that I want to do, I can't do. Some of the things I need to do, I'm restricted on doing right now. And so there's just this gap of time. Some people fill it with sleep. Some people work out. Some people do other stuff. But then there are those people who don't do anything, or who aimlessly push along. And that lack of feeling stuff can usually cause depression. When you find yourself in a space of when you find yourself in a point of time where you feel like you don't have meaning, usually your body will start to believe you, and your brain will begin to have this chemical imbalance, which causes depression. And it's fucking scary because your brain don't know how to process that.
Brain don't know how stuff work. End of the day.
Brain don't know how stuff work. Brain very simple. Brain very smooth.
Brain go burr. But yeah, like to get back, kind of, because this is a really serious topic we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just so people that aren't watching that, get, I'm not gonna say triggered, because that's I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Anyone who's watching this stream at any time, I want everyone to know this. I'm not a politically correct person. I never will be. I never going to be, and I never was. I'm going to talk the way I want to talk. I was born in New York, and I was born with the mindset of I'm going to speak my fucking mind, and no one can tell me otherwise. That's how I am. I'm not changing that. I hope y'all can accept that, because if you can't, I'm sorry to break it to you. I'm not changing. Anyone else who comes on the stream, that's them. I don't control them. They can be politically correct if they want. I'm never going to be that way. But to get back to, like, the suicidal shit instead of the depressed stuff, people, like, the one thing that I hate, and I've seen it many a times, like, the amount of, like, motherfuckers that on the internet that are suicidal, and they come to friends on the internet. Most of the time, if someone's really suicidal, they're not going to come to you. I say that just for shits, and I say that for myself, Sean, just so people don't fucking bother me about that, but whatever. So, if someone's really suicidal and they're really going to do it, and they don't come to you, but because I'm going to tell you, even if they're not consciously dropping signs, subconsciously a person will change their mood depending on their mindset. If you met someone while they were depressed, you're never going to see a change. You are never going to see a change if they kill themselves after you meet them. If they've been depressed since day one, you're not going to see a change. They're going to act the same way. If you met a person when they were happy or when they were not depressed and they were, I'm not going to say mentally all there because that's a little fucked up, right, Ollie?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say when they weren't depressed. And you see
when they were in a different mindset.
When they were in a different mindset, yes. And they were doing all the stuff. And then they get into the depressed mindset and they stop doing stuff. And they recluse themselves from the group. And they kind of lock everything away. That's a sign. Really, that is. And I've never met a single person online who says, oh, I've dealt with depression a lot. I've never met a single person online that knows that sign right off the bat. It takes them a while to get that sign, and usually when it's too late. So
there are steps to it. So when someone, say your friend, something very bad happens to them. I'm just gonna pull an example from the air. They failed some grades this quarter. Like they did not do well with a couple grades during the quarter. And you don't really know what's going on at home. You just know them as an okay friend, and you guys talk often. And your friend slowly begins to talk less and less to you. Like, they still talk. They're still there. It's just they kind of stop being as loud as they were initially, and they're just slowly becoming quieter. And it sooner or later goes from this quieter voice to almost sparse, to then very, very not often to practically silent. And it can get concerning, especially when someone else asks you, have you heard from so-and-so in a while? and it's that tells you that multiple people have
Caught on.
had connections cut, because when you're depressed, your first reaction is you kind of don't think you deserve what you have in some areas, especially friends. And more often, in order to comfort yourself, you pull yourself away from people and you become lonely. And it's a self-done loneliness. You want to be alone. And which is why, if you're depressed, something you should do is, even if it fucking sucks, I would know, push yourself out there. Try and go and talk to people. Try and see people that you trust and care about and appreciate. Even if just a little bit, to pull yourself out of that rut. Because being alone will do nothing but worsen the feelings and the mood that you're in. And when the person recluses themselves fully, like they stop talking to people, then there's an issue. Because they're fully alone and they're stuck with themselves, and that's when it can really hit the fan.
That's when it gets to the point, like, you know, and I'm not gonna say, oh, you're a bad friend because you didn't catch on, because in reality, not a lot of people catch on that early. I'm gonna say this: it takes a really attentive and a really focused and a person that really watches out for stuff to catch that stuff early on. And it really does pain me to say it that way, but at the end of the day, that's really how it is. If you're not an attentive person that's always watching how your friends are, how they act, if you don't really catch on to how someone acts differently in some ways or the other, you're not gonna know. And it's really terrifying to think about that way, but that's a mindset you got to get yourself into. There's a lot of things at the end of the day that you have to think about. There's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration about a person. If you see that a person starts acting differently than they used to, like, let's say if you're
like,
at school
you look
with
at
a friend,
you look at your messages now, and you scroll up like a month, and you look at your messages then, and you can see like a very big difference in the way that they talk, then there might be something up.
yeah. But even if it's like face to face, let's say this, like, a really big sign that someone is depressed or even suicidal is you'll see that they're, and I've actually noticed it, it's actually a really big tell. If you don't know what a tell is, Google anything about gambling. A tell is basically how it is. You can tell that a person's lying, bluffing, or doing a certain thing. A big tell with depression is you will see in certain situations someone's diet will change. Not massively at first. Slight differences in diet change, and then after a while you see that someone will be fasting themselves. Usually that happens with women, because women tend to, whenever they're depressed, it's not all girls, but most, whenever they're depressed or suicidal, they start attacking their body first. Like, they'll cut, or they'll start cutting back on their food, and it's not a diet, fellas. It's not.
It's a question of control.
Yes,
how much can I put control on what I eat? How much can I put control on what I look like, on what I feel, on who I talk to?
Yep.
It's all this very fleeting grasp for how much can I control myself before I can't. And it's fucking terrifying. It's an awful, awful, awful thing to go through, especially when you have severe depression, because it can just, as often as it doesn't happen, sometimes it can be a pretty instant thing where their diet immediately changes, or they do an erratic thing. Like, you'll see some people are like, oh, I shaved my hair over the weekend. Haha, it's just a fun erratic thing that I did. No, like, there will be some people who will cut off a lot of their hair. Like, this happens for some females. They will cut off large portions of their hair because of an emotional fit, and it's some way to, like, cut back and control or do something big to try and justify the emotions within themselves, which is, it happens. And it's fucking terrible that the media has taken it as, like, a joke. Like, suicide has become a bit of a joke to people, which is, it's scary. If I may say that, it's a bit scary.
You can say that.
Because, like, yes, it is, like, there are people who joke about it who do feel that way, and it's a good way to cope, but there is that side of, like, social media that jokes about it, and it's like, it makes fun of the people who have the signs. Like, there are those who do it for clout. Like, there are those who are like, pay attention to me, look at me, I'm self-diagnosed, I've got all these issues, and it's some kind of way to link with the crowd, I guess, or have people look at you, but it does nothing but hurt those who are genuinely, like, in need of help, like, who are literally, like, trying to just get some kind of bit of control in their life so that they can find a reason to live, like, find a reason to push on to the next day, because depression is nothing but a battle that pushes on every single day, and you have to win every single day or something really, really bad can happen.
Wow, it just got dumb quiet.
Sorry.
Nah, you're all good. Just yeah, Sean. But
Well,
like, this really is not a laughing matter though. Like, this is something that like everyone should take very seriously at the end of the day. But yeah, fucking. There are many different signs to take to observe. There are many different things that you can do. Because I'm gonna even tell you this. Even asking how someone's day goes, that does a lot for somebody. Like, not a lot of people recognize that. If you see this one dude, you see that, like, and you never spoke to him ever. Let's say you go to school, and you see this one kid go to class, and you never spoke to him ever. You see him go from, like, kind of like the kind of shy kid to the completely cut off kid. You know, he went from never having his hood up to always having his hood up, and he's always kind of like scrunched up in on himself and has like the hunch and all that kind of stuff. Just pull him aside tap on his shoulder, be like, "Hey, dude, how's your day going? How was your weekend? How's your week been going so far? You doing all good? Everything going good?" Even at like that little bit of, I hate to say it, a little bit of human interaction right there can do a lot for somebody. That can brighten up someone's day. That can make them feel that someone wants them around. Be like, "Hey, haven't seen you
and
around for a bit, man. How's everything going? You doing all good?" That
it's
kind
not
of
just
stuff.
a one-time endeavor. Like, you gotta try and keep it a little consistent.
No,
Like,
yeah, but I'm saying, like, like
yeah,
that
but
little.
just doing that, just at once, just this random stranger believing, like, yo, I mean something a little bit to someone else, like it brings up your joy quite a bit, because it's good to feel that way. It's good to know that someone's there, and like I said, you do have to be persistent, because if not, then it'll just be that one time. You don't want it to look like that one time, like, oh, they're doing it out of pity, like, which is something that people will think sometimes. Like,
I'm gonna say
you're
that
only
that kind of mindset though, with like someone who's dealing with depression, is almost kind of rare. I'm gonna say it that way because there are some instances where yes, it does happen like that. We're like, oh, he's just doing this out of pity, but that usually happens with someone who's usually been. I'm gonna say this because it's true. It usually happens with someone who's been lied to, been cheated on, been given the runaround, where basically someone just kept asking them certain questions and then left them, or just someone who's been used. Those four different reasons tend to be the reason that someone thinks, oh, he's just doing that out of pity. Most of
which
the,
can
like, if
happen,
someone's
but
going through like the depression where they just like, because I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of people out there, they just get hit like that with the feeling of depression, and they don't know how to handle it. Some
which
people handle it with just
hurts
like,
them.
oh, it's a wave of feelings. I'll let it, I'll stride with it, that kind of stuff. Other people, it hits them really hard, and they just don't know how to handle that emotion. They don't know how to deal with that kind of mindset. They just kind of sit in their own little pod, and they don't know what's going on and what's happening. But like, I'm gonna say this because it is true. That little bit of human interaction, even if it's just once, that you're basically adding fire to their torch, because that's a really old, I forget the word for it, but that's a really old, like, Japanese way of living, where everyone, when they're first born, it's an old philosophy. When you're first born, you are given a torch. That torch is your life. The longer that torch burns, the longer your life is. Every single obstacle or, you know, very messed up or sad thing that happens to your life is a piece of is wind hitting that torch and blowing the fire out. And usually they go off of it like, you know, whenever someone gives you that little bit of interaction that makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, or someone, you know, talks to you or makes you feel good, and you feel a little, and usually when you feel good, you feel a little, they say you feel a little warm. That's them taking the fire from their torch and lighting yours as well, adding fire to your torch. That's that philosophy where, you know, the little bit of human interaction of just being nice or just showing compassion or kindness to one other person, a complete stranger or friends or family, can change that whole person's like lifeline just like that. Because and everyone says first impression is the impression that lasts, and that is true. But first impressions are not everything. It's your impression on a person of how long and how much of an impression you have on that person's life, for how long you're in there. That's how long you have to rub off on that person. So if you know for a fact, and I'm gonna say this, all the girls out there, if you know for a fact that you're a very, very toxic girl, i.e., you cheat on your mans a lot or you lie a lot, you really should not be talking to a lot of people. I'm saying this out of pity for everybody else, and I'm saying this out of pity for you. I've seen it happen many times. I've seen friends almost kill themselves because a girl lied or was toxic with them. There is no reason for that to ever happen. Ever. There's no reason that a man should have his manhood crushed because you want to do this or you want to do that. That can cause depression. It goes the other way too. It's not just females that do it, males do it too. That kind of mindset where your mindset is, I just want to ruin this fucking person. I'm gonna date this person for a bit and then I'm gonna ruin their life. That's not just with females. That's what males too. It goes both ways.
It's with shitty people.
It's
Just
being a shitty person is not binded to a single sex. I'm gonna say that because that's true. Being a shitty person is not binded to a single sex. It takes, I'm gonna say this, it takes 5 seconds for you to ruin someone's life, for you to have a massive impact on them that ruins them for the rest of their life. It takes 5 seconds. You know what those 5 seconds are, Ollie?
what are they?
It's a simple phrase. And I've seen it happen said to other people, and it makes me disgusted.
What is it?
It's a 5-word sentence. I wish you would die. Or any kind of conjugation of that sentence. I've seen that sentence so many times texted or spoken in Discord by itself. I'm not even going to count CSGO. I'm not going to count the gaming community. I'm not going to count TeamSpeak. I'm not going to count Omegle. I'm not going to count Uvu or Skype or Snapchat or whatever. Just in Discord
just
alone.
This genuine interaction between two people who care about each other, who do not care about each other anymore, with that simple phrase shared, that can break a soul. It can kill someone.
That could be, as they say, the tip of the iceberg. That could literally be that one final string on that man's rope or that woman's rope, whatever.
The straw that broke the camel's back.
Yep. That one last thread of the rope that snapped. That's literally all it takes. Because the thing is, everyone says, oh, the mind is the world's greatest computer. I'm going to say this, words, and by the end of the day, are the world's best weapon. It's not going to kill anybody, per se, but words have a very, very, very powerful power over anybody in the world. A single word can cause a war. A single word can cause a murder. A single word can cause a genocide. Think of it that way. Just giving the word can start a nuclear war between Russia, China, everything. A single word is all it takes. And I might sound like a fucking broken record, but it's true. because
And it's even more true when it comes to someone. It doesn't have to be a country. It's just a single person who's going through
person-to-person
it.
interaction.
Just the person, like, especially when someone you care about does something to you, like, the closer they are to you, the further they pull and the harder they pull when they rip away.
Yep, that is what it is.
And it fucking sucks. And if I may, I want to talk about some of the experiences I had that threw me into probably one of the worst ruts I've ever experienced. So this was a little while ago. I had just moved into this area, and like, yeah, whatever. I was pretty young.
Then you met Aiden.
Yeah, I met Aiden a little bit later, but Aiden's been as much of a dick he is. He's been pretty good.
I'm a good friend. I have a good heart.
You are actually really good.
And the one thing I do want to say about this podcast is I love the fact that I don't know about Nick, but I don't have any of these kind of like things that occur, that thoughts that occur to me. Like I want to kill myself or something. I can't say something about Nick, but I have not personally experienced any of these things. So it's nice to have someone who's never experienced this and people who have experienced it to different degrees.
Yeah, because it's just a sharing of information.
Well,
what
it's just nice to have diversity right now.
Yeah.
All right. We're okay.
And never mind. That's not it.
When I first moved here, I would say I was sad. I was sad, and I was alone, and I didn't really have many friends, and I didn't know how to respond to that. So I decided, fuck it. I'll just I'll see if there's someone I like someone I can date. How wrong could it go? And there was this girl who I thought was pretty cute and who was nice, and I talked to them a bit, and then after a little while we had started dating. And at first it was nice. They were pretty okay, and they were nice to me and cared about me. And then over time, like, it got really sus and really bad, and she kept saying things, and there were a lot of red flags, but I, as a person, would think I'm a little too caring sometimes and a little too understanding. And at first, I was like, it's just a small thing. And then she's like, can we have an open relationship? And I'm like,
God.
no, thank you. And then she started talking to this guy, and I think the thing that just made me the most uncomfortable was like, he's essentially you, but just a little bit older. And I'm like, what? Why does this matter?
I don't know how that makes it any better.
It doesn't, and
like,
it's supposed to. It's supposed to pad out like, here's a reason why I like this guy just as much as you, because they're like basically you, but better in a different way.
Basically what she told you. I'm sorry to break it to you that way. She's basically
I know that.
She's like you, but better. That's the worst way to word it.
That's a major red flag right there.
Oh, I know. But I was alone and sad, and I didn't know what to do. So, couple steps forward, we go to this dance, and she had recommended it, so I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go to this dance my girlfriend asked me to go to. And I go in, and lo and behold, guess who's fucking playing in the band for the event is the guy she fucking talked about. And I go with our driver, but essentially our chauffeur. He tore his pants, so we went to 7-Eleven and came back. And I come back, and I fucking catch my girlfriend and this guy locked lips in the darkness behind a curtain. And I tried to tell myself, like, that's not them. This is just me being paranoid and not trusting. And I called them a couple times, no answer. And then apparently, like, she heard me, and so she came over to me, and she's like, oh my god, when did you get back? And I'm like, I said I'd be back in 15 minutes. And she's like, oh, I didn't think you would that fast. And I'm like, where were you? And she's like, I was over there. And she pointed in the direction where the two people were kissing. And I'm like, oh, isn't that fucking lovely? And I go home after the event, and I'm just like, well, my fucking girlfriend cheated on me. And I talked to my mom about it, and my mom is like, your girlfriend cheated on you? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, wait, you mean like with the guy in the garage right now? I'm like, what?
Oh,
And she's like,
no.
yeah, I just saw your girlfriend and the guy in the garage kissing. And I'm like, what?
Where's Dad's gun?
So
Where's Dad's gun?
no, not yeah. I'm fucking. Oh my god, I was so upset. The guy who chauffeured us there had been locking lips with my girlfriend. The guy who was at the event playing the instruments locked lips with my girlfriend, and I locked lips with my girlfriend. She had all of us wrapped around her fucking fingers, and I had no idea. And then I figured it out, and I told each of them, and they were equally upset because they had no fucking idea. And so, thank fuck, when I transferred schools over to the next grade, she was in a different school, and I didn't have to fucking deal with her anymore. But like,
Good
I broke
on
up with her.
Good
and it
on
was
you for that
fucking
shit.
terrible. And I changed my number, and I didn't tell her, which was probably the smartest thing I've ever done. But the issue is there was still that period of time where we were in school together, like the good couple months, and there was this other girl that I started really liking. And I'm talking to her, and I'm getting used to her, and she's getting used to me, and she genuinely likes me. And then all of a sudden, after a couple months, it's like the end of the school year, which is when my birthday is. She's stopped talking to me. And I'm like kind of concerned. Like, we were just buddy like a little while ago. Why is she stopping talking to me? And lo and behold, I find out on my birthday. Like, I'm in the bathroom, and I pulled her aside, and I'm like, can you tell me what's up? Like, can you explain to me, like, what's wrong? And she's like, I don't love you anymore. I can't. I just can't. And I'm like, why? And it's like, because how can you talk to me while you've been talking to another girl? And I'm like, what? And she shows me a little while after that, actually, texts from my ex-girlfriend to her about how I'm still dating her and how I need to stay away from them and she needs to stay away from me. And like, she has swooped in, and she was probably one of the best things that had happened to me in like 4 years. Like, the girl that I had been talking to, she was genuinely sweet and nice, and I wanted to be a part of the relationship that we would have had, but it was fucked up by her. So not only had I been cheated on double, but I had a relationship ruined by this girl. And I didn't know how to respond to that. So my brain, at my birthday party, no less, that afternoon, it was just like, everything is wrong. Everything has gone wrong. I don't know what to do. And I think that was the day where it properly, like, the wind completely, like, blew out my torch. There was just embers, and I didn't know what to do. And for months and months and months over the summer, I had stopped talking to people. I had stopped caring. And it was just this awful thing that I didn't know how to respond to. And I mean, I guess it could have gotten better, but it didn't. And after a little while, I had tried dating again, and I tried talking to people, and it was okay with one person in between, but it didn't work out, and we parted peacefully. And then there was my second girlfriend who, oh boy, I can't really. I'm gonna pause.
Alright, hold on.
Is this the one with
If
the
it's
guy that
if it's
sick?
gonna
Oh my
bring up
God.
if it's gonna bring up certain feelings and you don't feel comfortable about it,
No, it's
Don't do
not
it.
that. I am fine talking about this.
Okay.
I've come to terms with this. It's taken a long time, but just talking about it helps, if anything. But what I'm scared of is there is like trigger warning for this. Like, I do want to say this. This can bother people. It is about the big R word. The big R word, you know?
Retard?
Yeah, retard.
R-A-P-E.
Oh, rape.
Oh, that's not the big
That.
word. That's the scary R word.
That's the scary R word. That's the shit that makes people uncomfortable. Because it's a real thing, and I think one of the worst things is females do it too. Like, it's, you don't think about it, but it happens. Anyone can do it, anyone can experience it, and it's a fucking awful and scary experience. And I guess I was just looking for love and attention, and it kind of came at a different pace. And the dating came after the moment it happened, because the dating was a way to justify it. And it didn't justify it at all, because it was this terrible fucking thing that happened to me. And my brain kind of pushed it out for the better part of a year. And I didn't know how to properly address it. Because you really don't know how to properly address that kind of thing. And then when it happens to you, like I think one of the biggest issues is people will be like, why don't you just say no? Why don't you just push them away? Why don't you try and get out of it? It's such a moment when you like hit a hard brick wall. Like, you don't know what to do. So you just go with the flow. And you go with it, even if you don't want it, because it'll be so much more comfortable to deal with it like this and deal with it later than just deal with it in such a fucking weird way now. And I know that sounds so weird, but that's the process my brain went through in that moment. And over again, it continued happening, where me and my partner had sex, and it was not love. There was no love. It was lust, and it was recovery. And we both had gone through pretty bad things, and it was them in a way taking advantage of me in a not so good way. And soon enough, I figured out, this is not good. This is not good for me. This is not good for my mental health. I need to stop. So one day I came to them and I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't date you. And I broke up with them. And I stepped away from them and stopped talking to them for a while, and they stopped talking to me. And after that, I kind of blocked out the memory of it, but it was still there with its claws deep into me, because it fucking happened, and it hurt, and it pulled me deeper into this pit that I had no idea how to climb out of. It's cold. It's very cold at the bottom, but it's comfortable. And it was getting closer to the point where I felt like I had no direction in my life. I didn't know how to feel properly. I had been hurt so many times by so many people I thought I cared about. And I thought it would be better if I could just make it all stop. So one day, over spring break, I was in a phone call with my friend, and I hung up, and I just kind of went to my room and sat around quietly. And then I texted them, and I was like, I love you, but I'm gonna go. And they were like, what? And they're like, I'm just gonna go. And it was an uncomfortable conversation that I had with them in those small texts that I was texting them. I just wanted to get it over with and tell them how I wanted to leave, and that was it. And I said goodbye. And then I turned off my phone, and I stepped into my closet, and I hung up some bungee cords.
You chilled for a bit.
and I chilled for a bit. And then my phone started ringing, like a lot. And I picked up my phone. I looked at the missed calls. There were 3. And then I picked up the line. And they were around my neck. Like, I was very ready to just let it happen. And I called them. I sat there and I called them. I clicked on it and I pulled myself out of that pit. And I cried. And I kind of begged for my life to someone who had no control over it. I was scared. I was cold. I was angry. I didn't know how to respond to this. And they told me to calm down, to breathe, to get out of whatever I put myself into. And it took a sec, but I did. And I laid at the bottom of my closet, and I stayed in the call with them for about 4 hours. And they saved my life. We don't talk much anymore, but it was a scary moment in my life that I don't think I'm ever going to forget. Because that was the point in my life where I saw a little bit of light out of the bottom of my hole. And I could finally feel comfortable.
That got dark. I hate to break it, but
Yeah.
you're surrounded by friends here. You should.
Yeah.
That's if that ever happens again, which I wish it don't. You are surrounded by friends here, Ollie. I want you to know that.
Well, I know that, and I'm appreciative of every person that I have in my life. And after that moment, I have done nothing but tried to get out of that hole. And there are parts that still hold me down, and it's very difficult to push yourself out of it. But when you realize what's wrong, like it is a little bit easier to try and quote unquote kill your demons. But I've found that you can't ever truly kill your demons. They live with you. It's a part of you, especially when you experience those kinds of things. And there is an analogy that I like to use for it. It's water in the lungs. So you've been pulled under so many times, close to drowning, that you get water in your lungs. And then finally, once you're pulled out, you're on land. It still feels like there's that cold water, and it's hard to breathe. It's not going to go away, and it's hard to breathe still, even while walking, but you can only learn to live with it. You can only learn to push with it. And it makes life hard. It really does, but you're still breathing, and it's still important that you breathe. And that's how I like to look at it.
It's a good way too.
I'm sorry if I just go quiet. I'm just kind of vibing here.
No, it's fair. It's fine. This is a dark subject. It's difficult to talk about. It's difficult to listen to, I bet. But I just want to tell you guys one thing. I have pushed pretty far past it. Man, this fucking Rona has been bringing it back, but it's slowly getting better. I'm taking steps to improve myself. I'm trying a little bit, and just trying a little bit is trying a lot, if anything.
It really is. I mean, even if it's, think of this analogy, even if you make it like 1 foot up that pit, climbing up out the side of it, that 1 foot feels like an eternity. But once you get past it all, and once you're out that pit, it feels refreshing. The fresh air, the cool breeze.
It's not this musky, dirty smell. It's this genuine feeling of calm.
The way that I like to refer to people who kind of like sit in their pit, like they don't want to get out of it, they don't, and they're perfectly content with staying in there. It is kind of like a little bit of a corny analogy, but at the same time, I forgot where I heard it specifically, but like it always sat with me is that you're like a shark sitting at the bottom of a well. You see, and the only thing you see other than the water around you and the fucking really dark and moldy walls around you is you see the sky. Now the shark that's at the bottom of that well doesn't know what the ocean's like. He doesn't know that the sky above the ocean is the same as he's seeing, but he has no idea because all he knows is that well, and all he's ever known is that well. So he's stuck in that well and doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know where to go. He's stuck in that 4x4, whatever the fuck it is, and he gets to stare up at that sky all the time. Now, that's like, I use that analogy because that's an analogy talking about freedom. And whenever you have depression and you're suicidal and you don't know how to deal with it, you feel trapped. You feel caged by your emotions, by your feelings, by how you want to get through it and how to deal with it. You feel caged, or in some cases you feel contempt with staying down there in that well, and you don't know what the open sky is like. You don't know what the ocean's like. Because it's not on your mind anymore. You have no idea what it is. All it really takes in that scenario, in that situation, in that wording is it takes one crack. One crack in that well. Enough for you to squeeze out, enough for you to break out. To see that wide open sky, to see the ocean deep blues. It's all it takes. One crack. Now the one crack in the metaphor could be you yourself getting yourself out of the rut. It could be a friend. It could be a family member. It could even be in something as simple as a song. Or something as simple as that human interaction with a stranger. They create that crack in that wall that gets it so you're able to break free. It's probably not the best analogy, but I use it.
It works. It's because there is that issue with those who feel contempt. Like, life loses its meaning, and in some sick way, depression is an obstacle that you can climb to bring some kind of meaning to your life. Like, it's, God, this is a fucking awful way to put it, but you know how when you finish a video game, like, you've done everything for it, you've got nothing left to do, and it's just kind of boring. Like you've done most of the shit that's been put in front of you, you've got nothing else to do.
You know, I think that's actually a really good analogy because I can relate to that a lot.
Like, you get so far, or you do so much in a game that you complete task after task after task, or you have to do this repetitive task over and over again, and you just sit there and it's like, what's the fucking point in playing this game anymore? Like, I have no reason to continue putting time into this game because I've done everything. In life, your brain gives you that obstacle. It gives you a reason to push forward. In some sick way, depression is like a DLC. It's added on thing to your life to give you more difficulty to your experience.
Kind of like a game, like more like a difficulty adjustment.
Something like that.
Yeah. There's another analogy that I've read many times of kind of like the game analogy, but you just said is like, what am I doing here? It's, you ever play a game, like a game that you truly love and you find passion in it and you think it's amazing, you think it's this, you think it's all that, but when you get really close to the end, you just stop because you don't want it to end? Has anyone here ever felt that?
Yeah.
The first time I ever felt that feeling was when I first played, Jesus Christ, when I first played Mass Effect, the original Mass Effect, and how in the original Mass Effect you see characters die left and right, you see this, you see that. And then another game was Shadow of the Colossus. Anyone here remember that
That's
game?
a fucking phenomenal game.
I remember when
God,
I
I love
first
that
played
game.
that game, I played it one way through, and I never finished it until about a month or so after getting to the last fucking, like, little quest thingy.
I did that, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild?
Yerp.
I beat every single one of the blights. I've gotten the Master Sword, gotten all the armor and shit. I haven't beaten Ganon.
No.
I haven't tried. I don't want it to stop, because once you do that, that's it. That's the end.
Once you end it, Zelda, it's going to be like, Link, where were you? It took forever for me to hold them back. I was going to die soon. What happened? Where were you? Why'd you spend so long to get that horse to name it Big Chungus? But, yeah, like, the thing is, though, like, I'm a gamer through and through. At the end of the day, that's what I am. That's literally what my life is. I have work, I do work. But I haven't told anyone this, but for, like, the last, 3 years, I've actually been developing my own game. By myself. I've been writing code, I've been doing all this stuff, but I don't want to
I'm too
release it
much
to the
of a
world yet.
dumbass to do that.
You'd what?
We know
wish.
Canadian.
What, Mickey?
I don't want to release it to the world yet.
Because it's a challenge. It's an obstacle to overcome, and once you overcome that obstacle...
Yeah, it feels like the first time when I started doing art, like, in general, was when I first started getting into art, and I think one time on the stream, I'm gonna go over all my art that I've done over the years and see, like, stuff that I never showed anybody. I'll show it on stream. But when I first started doing art, I never showed anybody anything. It was always because I did art as kind of a coping mechanism for depression, and it wasn't I drew really depressing stuff. I drew some, in my opinion, some really nice things. Like, that's how I learned how to fucking look at a screen. Like, if I was looking at this background for the game right now, I could probably draw the car that's in the background. Just by looking at the screen, looking back at my tablet or my paper, and I can just draw it like that. I used to get really good at that. But, like, I was... Come on, Sean, your drawings were good. Shut up.
I would draw... I like to draw, like, some of the darker stuff. Like, I do follow horror artists, and it's not because, like, I am depressed, thus I must draw weird, dark things. I genuinely enjoy the kind of, like, genre that is horror drawings, and I like drawing in that way as well. And
yeah, I've seen what
God,
you're drawing,
my mother
Sean,
hates it.
But, like,
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah. When I first started getting into spray paint art, I have, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 different paintings that I did nothing but, like, the spray paint artists on the side, on, like, the street vendors and shit in New York. You ever heard about that?
Yeah.
I do that shit.
That's cool.
I've done a lot of, all the stuff that's hanging up in my room at this moment I have the very first one I ever did. I did 3 planets in space. And then I started doing, like, changing things. Like, I tried doing a tree silhouetted against a moon, and then I have some really good ones, and then I did one where it looked like 2 planets crashing together. But, like, that kind of became my coping mechanism. Like, playing guitar, playing piano, spray painting, doing art was all different things that I could use as not muses but as outlets. I used to sing a lot. I don't do that anymore because I'm very conscious of my voice, and I don't like it. I have had people tell me your voice is nice, your voice is this, you sound okay. But at the end of the day, I don't feel comfortable with it. I'll sing for people, yeah, but I'll never do it on stream. I am way too self-conscious to do it on stream because someone can clip it, and I know on one of my old ex-friends' streams, I'm not friends with him anymore because he's a dickhead. Someone clipped me rapping on his stream.
Oh, fuck.
I was going ham that day too. My voice was a lot higher than it is now, but you know, like I was going pretty fast with it, and I didn't know he was streaming, and he didn't tell me, and someone clipped it. I was like, fuck. All right, well now I just can't sing ever again. But I used to love doing that. I played guitar a lot. I played piano. I learned to play the kalimba of all things, the ukulele, kazoo. Kazoo's fun.
Kazoo.
But I remember when I first got my license, my first ever car that was mine was a 2001 Mitsubishi Eclipse GS, front wheel drive, 5-speed, piece of shit. I abused the fuck out of that car.
We'd always dump the clutch.
I would always dump the clutch in that thing. It was so much fun. Remember when I was doing donuts at Grand Prix?
Yeah, actually.
Fun times.
If I could mention, like, my friend who he's a bit of a fitness fanatic. He likes working out, and he looks very good. And this is the friend that has a motorbike and a BMW. He's very cool, like very, very cool. And I like to think that he's a bit of a model in my life because he actively started talking to me when I wasn't doing well in the beginning of high school. And even after high school, he continued to talk to me, and he's a genuinely chill guy. I really appreciate and love him. And he told me one really, really important thing. And it wasn't about depression, but it was about habits. And he told me, when you're pushing past something unhealthy, it's important that you replace it with something healthy. So then that space isn't just empty. You're filling the space in with something else that's better. So I like to use that when it comes to me and my negative emotions. Like, depression is a very big thing. These negative and awful thoughts are like a very large rock that I'm going to have to push out of place. And it's going to require a lot of things to fill in that place. But I play guitar. I play video games. I'm trying to work out and bike. Like, I'm trying to get my heart rate pumping. I'm putting myself in a healthier spot so that I can push past this nasty negative thing in my life. I can get past my addictions. I can get past the shittier things in my life to feel better about myself. Because it is not simple. It sounds simple, but it isn't. But once you try and you push and you do it, you genuinely feel better. Like it is like that cold breeze, that cold fresh air. Even if you're halfway up the pit, you can still smell it. You can still feel it. It's just once you're up there, it'll feel a lot nicer. Mm-hmm. You get the full thing. It's incentive.
All right. It's getting pretty late, everyone. I got work in 4 hours.
Fair.
I'm gonna cut it short a little bit here, but the next podcast next Sunday is when I'll do it. If we don't forget. Trouble, can you remind me next Sunday? Or
next Sunday? Gotcha.
Either one of you can just spam text me like Sunday morning. Get ready for the podcast. But I think the podcast next Sunday will start a little sooner. To the people that are watching the stream, I hope y'all enjoy it. Yeah, next Sunday. I hope y'all did enjoy this, even though we did get into a little bit of heavy-hitting subjects. I want everyone here to know that everyone here is loves you. I'm sorry, Sean. And we all care about each other, you know. And at the end of the day, care about your friend, care about even the stranger down the street. Stay nice to everybody. Stay coronavirus free if you can.
Wear a mask, god damn it.
Nah, bitch.
I will fucking throat punch you.
I don't wear a mask at work because we all tested non-positive for it, so.
Good enough.
So I just
make sure if you're unsure of your surroundings, wear a mask.
Okay, I'll tell that next time I'm in a car.
Yeah, dude. If you're in your own car, your friend's car, I don't know what. Nah, like that's the thing that annoys me. The amount of motherfuckers that wear a mask in their own fucking car.
Wearing a mask in the car is probably the dumbest thing I've seen. Like, come on.
Especially if you wear
support that
glasses
people.
like I
I
do.
mean, if you get paranoid about it, like you have like the AC on, the windows rolled up, and you don't have it on recirculate, some like corona air could come in the car,
Rona air.
Yeah.
Oh my god, corona air in my car, must wear mask while I drive and look like a dumbass.
Yeah. And they look like a fucking
Damn, those
retarded
people
monkey.
make me laugh out loud. Like, not even kidding. I see like some old Chinese guy in his car with a mask on.
All right, guys.
And with
Let's,
the windows closed.
all right. Everybody, just chill, because I want to end this, because I gotta go fucking finish some stuff. I gotta make my lunch for tomorrow, and then I gotta let my dogs out and do my shit. But
Plural dogs.
yeah, plural dogs. I have 6, motherfucker. Hop off.
God damn.
That's
They're
a lot
all-
of chihuahuas.
They're all rescues, and I love them. I love my pit bull. But
He hates the besides the chihuahuas.
some of the chihuahuas are alright. So, to the people that are watching the stream, I hope you all did enjoy this. If you guys did, please, I don't know, hit the follow button. It doesn't hurt. You can always unfollow later. I am going to take this little podcast, the whole recording of it. I am going to post it up on YouTube sometime. And, I don't know. Anything else I should do, my guys?
Not really.
Wait, I would put up the suicide prevention hotline.
If you want to, Ollie, you can come into my chat and put that. Because I'll
Alright.
probably put it up next time. Just Googles it and just fucking goes to the Twitch stream. You got another minute before it's 12 a.m. and then I gotta start
There
it.
you go.
All right. So that's it. All right. So that was the suicide hotline. Thank you for calling the suicide hotline. Please tell me your problem tonight. Oh, the cookies weren't in the cookie jar. Okay.
That's by the way, all jokes aside, 24/7, those people are going to respond. If you feel like you're having trouble and you feel like you're going to do it, just know that there's someone out there that will help you. And that everyone may seem like they don't, but people care. People will care.
There's a
There
reason
will
the
be a
hotline
toxic
was put
bitch
there
out
for a
there.
reason.
But there is a reason there is a hotline. All right, good night. That's all I got to say.
All right. Good night, everyone. Sleep well, and wake up tomorrow morning and be. I'm not gonna force you to be happy, but try to find that reason to live, because for all you know, it could be right next to you when you wake up. Could be that little dog sitting at the end of your bed. It could be your mother. It could be your friend. It could be your father. It could be your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever the fuck you want to
Why
fuck.
is your mother sleeping beside you on your bed?
You don't know how wording works, do you stupid Canadian?
Stupid fucking Canadians, man.
There's a comma there, unless you don't fucking understand how commas work.
He's Canadian. They don't use commas.
Oh,
They go, sorry
I
about
use
that.
hyphens, but lower.
All right, everyone, take care.